Your Inner Light Show. It's time to stop just surviving, and it's time to begin to thrive. It's time to live happier and healthier. Turn stress into strength. Noted author Debbie Mandel will show you how to move beyond personal doubts and fears and into positive perception to turn on your inner light. Here's your host, Debbie Mandel.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my show. Our guest expert, Lisa Friedman Bloch, and Kathy Kirtland Silverman have shared a writing career, written and produced network TV, cable, and motion pictures, and are the authors of Manopause. How do women survive the male version of menopause? Sounds pretty frightening. Welcome, girls.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Now, what happens when menopause meets menopause?
Well, that's very interesting because this is a time when women's estrogen levels are going down. At the same time, men's testosterone levels are going down. So you have a little bit of a crossing in the way that you're acting. Men become a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit mellower. At the same time, women are getting higher in testosterone. And also, women are seeing this as a possibility. It's about the time their children may be leaving home. They're seeing a possibility for a new career and a new type of life. At the same time, men may be ramping down a little bit in their career.
So would you say there's a kind of evening out or a sense of balance? Do men become emotionally a little more dependent on women? Oh, he's home for lunch now?
Actually, men, as Kathy just said, become more mellow, which gives them more of a connected tissue to connect more to their partners. So we think this is a very welcoming time because it's the man who wants to connect to his partner as opposed to is not as connected as he was when he was a much younger man.
But how is this a good time for a guy when his body image is changing and maybe he's laid off from his job in this economy because we kind of are prejudiced for a youth-oriented society? I mean, it's pretty tough for an older guy, isn't it?
Well, let's go back for a moment to really explain what menopause really is. It's the time in a man's life, usually between the ages of 40 and 65, when the cumulative effect of declining testosterone collides head-on with the pressures a man feels, the cultural pressures to be a man, to be powerful, to be strong, to be not invulnerable. And it comes at a time when he's more vulnerable and less strong. So that's the challenges of menopause.
And we were hoping that the book helps men redefine the ideal of strength in new ways, so that they're not just thinking physically strong, they're not thinking they need to be respected for their power, their earning ability, but perhaps for some inner character and some other characteristics.
Well, good luck. Good luck, because men really tend to identify with their jobs. Now, I see this as really identical in my head to menopause, except one has estrogen waning and the other has testosterone, because women are wrestling with body image and what can I do now that things are not the same for me, either in my job or with my empty nest. I mean, I think that men and women go through the same issues, don't they?
Well, we go through some similar issues, but one big difference is that women's change comes fairly suddenly and in a concentrated period of time. So it's obvious to women what is happening to them and what the source of their feelings is. Men's change comes so gradually, starting around the age of 30, that by the time it's crept up in their 40s and 50s, they know they're feeling different and really not good. But some of them, most of them, in fact, are really not aware of why they're feeling different.
And they don't want to change because that goes against the cultural ideal of what a man should be. They want to remain strong and powerful, and it's a very challenging feeling that they're experiencing, and they surely don't want to communicate because men are not really very comfortable communicating, both from the way their brains are structured, and also the pressures that the culture has put on our men to not communicate, just to be strong and never really reveal such vulnerabilities in their feelings.
Well, I feel that women too go through this, and we're called old crones at that point. And what woman wants to welcomes menopause? I'm not talking about residual hot flashes. I'm talking about a changing of the body image and perception in society. I know that older guys, like in their 50s, tell me they become invisible in society, and women do too. We discriminate against an aging population. I think that's pretty similar, don't you?
Yes, but our focus is primarily on the men and what they are experiencing as they are aging. And we would like that men take a fresher look at themselves. In 1900, the life expectancy was the age of 40, and today men live until they're age 79. And for that matter, we think midlife is really, you're only halfway there. It's like the halftime in a basketball game. And there's a possibly very exciting second half to the game of life. It's about how you approach it and how you think of yourself and how you as a woman with your man think of him and live your life in encouraging him to do things to make him feel very good about himself.
Well, that's a fine point that you make, but as a woman going through menopause at the time, and that doesn't happen overnight either. There's perimenopause, and there's, some women go into early menopause. So that's happening concurrently. So a woman really has to get her act together in terms, correct me if I'm wrong, of her own empowerment and feeling good about the self, to appreciate and, I guess, generate those optimistic, resilient feelings in the relationship.
I think you're right. I think that one of the purposes for writing this book was to try to give people a more positive look at things and to let women get past some of their feelings, a lot caused by what they're going through, by understanding what their men are going through. There has been, in our minds, no understanding before, and we think that the understanding and the communicating about this is going to make it easier for both of the sexes to make their lives a little fuller and richer instead of battling against each other.
Well, that's a great way to go to commercial break, and we will return with Lisa and Kathy, authors of Manopause.
Now you can take Debbie Mandel home with you. Her book, Turn On Your Inner Light, Fitness for Body, Mind, and Soul, will help you decompress with healthy, positive, concrete solutions. Common life challenges are presented so that you can quickly find the help you need. Emotional tips, original meditations, and a fun and easy-to-follow fitness workout for each mindset. This revolutionary new method will help you rewire mind and body to take back your power. Get it on Amazon.
Are you overwhelmed with the burden of taking care of children, parents, or both? Are you taking care of everyone else except yourself? It's time to change your habits and re-energize. Debbie Mandel gives you an innovative and easy-to-follow program for good health and happiness. In her magical new book, Changing Habits, The Caregiver's Total Workout, Debbie Mandel shows you step-by-step how to find the optimal balance between giving and receiving and guides you to exercise and eat right to take care of yourself. What are you waiting for? Read Changing Habits and start training for your life. Life does not need to be a burden. Get Changing Habits, The Caregiver's Total Workout on Amazon.
You're listening to the Turn On Your Inner Light show. I'm your host, Debbie Mandel, and I'm speaking with Lisa Friedman Bloch and Kathy Kirtland Silverman, authors of Manopause. Now, what I'm very interested in is cultivating the role of male friendships. I really enjoyed that chapter in the book. But I think we set men up for failure in a relationship. I know many young women, they get married, they don't want the guy to have a night out with the boys. They say, oh, no, you work all day and you better have the rest of your time for me and for this relationship. And many men have told me in workshops they feel like they could not cultivate or spend time with their male friends. Now we expect them to have social relationships, and they come to the women and say, well, did you set anything up for us?
Well, you make a very good point. And let's begin with the fact that not only is there cultural pressure on men, but that women are raised in the same culture. So we perceive what a man should be the same way a man feels a man should be, which is unfair. We have a quiz when we open up our book. The first part is how well do you understand men. The second part of the quiz is how much are you unknowingly contributing to the cultural pressure that he's feeling on his shoulders, which is a very good point. And that is what you're saying. Because when men really do need to connect, they need to connect to their male friends, they need to communicate not only just with their own partners, but with their friends. That's how they get to know more information. That's how we as women communicate with our friends to hear, what's going on with your bodies and your life. Men need to really have that good bonding issues as well. And men don't, when they get together for a football game, the last thing they're going to talk about is, I have this pain or I'm starting to feel less of a guy. Do you have that feeling? And what are you doing about it? It doesn't come up watching a football game. What we are encouraging is when you can get together with men get together and have more of a bonding relationship with men, they can begin to feel more comfortable communicating how they're feeling. They become more comfortable feeling vulnerable, and that we encourage.
Let's double back to that young woman you're describing for just a moment. One of the reasons she probably doesn't want her man to be going out with other men is that she hasn't fully learned to trust their relationship. And part of that is developing real intimacy. So in the book we talk about the levels of intimacy that go from just the intellectual sharing of ideas all the way through the type of intimacy where you feel free to express what you want, you express your needs, and you're listening to your partner expressing the same thing. And when you get to that level of intimacy, you can have more trust in your relationship.
How do you deal with the waning male libido at this time?
The waning male libido largely comes from the loss of testosterone, and that certainly is one of the symptoms. We give symptoms for potentially low testosterone in the book. And some of the physical symptoms include losing muscle mass, flagging energy, and maybe a little bit of depression, because testosterone is also an antidepressant. But loss of libido is certainly one of them. And you can go to your doctor if you think your mate, your man, is getting a little low in testosterone. You can get tested. And if he does appear to be low from these tests, you can discuss the pros and cons of supplementing his testosterone and perhaps restore the libido that way, as well as looking at your relationship. I mean, is the loss of libido physical, or is it a lack of interest in the relationship? Is it not still stimulating and interesting?
Mm-hmm. Same old people.
Same old people. That's what I talk about here.
We need novelty in a relationship. You know what I think is a great way to help? And, women need testosterone for their libido, too. We live in this hormonal equilibrium. I find the gym, sending men to the gym, women to the gym, working out, maybe working out with him, then you can get physical together in other ways afterwards.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, that's sharing, that's the level of intimacy, that's sharing an experience. But also, being in good shape helps you sexually. For a man, the penis is one of the first signs of the fact that there may be a health problem, like a heart problem, something like that, because it has the smallest veins in the body, so that will begin to show up there. Keeping in good shape in midlife is an incredibly important aspect of your sexual life and of your intimacy.
And then if you build more muscle mass and bone mass, you feel empowered, you have more energy, and you also raise physically and naturally your levels of testosterone, because testosterone therapy is a little sketchy, and many doctors don't want to give it because it leads to a whole lot of other problems, some of them cardiovascular. This is a very healthy way for both of you, I think, to feel younger in actuality. Now,
absolutely, exercise is so important, not to over-exercise, but everything in midlife in moderation, and that includes not overindulging, not over-drinking, overeating,
not having too much sex. No, not too much sex either, huh?
No, you don't have that. You can have as much as you want.
Studies show that frequent sex improves your ability to stay well.
So then I can overindulge, right? Then I can.
You can overindulge all you want in bed.
Wait a minute, Kathy, that's a question in the quiz. You're giving that away.
So in other words, some things we shouldn't, some things we should. I think in our time period, yes, you are right, we shouldn't get into hooked on the pain of exercise or exercise addiction, but more or less we're in the other end of the spectrum where we don't work out enough, we're a sedentary nation, and we sit and watch TV and then wonder why, we can't spring out of the chair anymore or move. Now,
also in the book we go into that a little bit, talking about technology and how that also has interfered not only with physical exercise, but with communication. If you're paying too much attention to your email, to your phone, whatever, it cuts off the communication between two people and between families. It can be dangerous.
Yes.
And on the other side, this group is also a big part of this group.
But I don't want to rush through this point. We have to go to commercial break. I really want to hear it. And we will return with Manopause. Dear listeners, I'm excited to tell you about my new book, Addicted to Stress. This is a message you need to hear. Are you addicted to stress? Do you do it all while everyone depends on you? Where's all this pressure coming from? It is coming from inside you. This is why my publisher, John Wiley, asked me to write Addicted to Stress, a woman's 7-step program to reclaim joy and spontaneity in life. This fun-to-read book teaches proven strategies to reclaim your life, silence your inner critic, build a healthy body, and reframe your thoughts to change your life for the better. Dare to be happy without the guilt. Addicted to Stress is easy to get. It's available at Barnes & Noble and other fine bookstores everywhere. You can also buy it at Amazon and other online retailers. We're back with Lisa Friedman Bloch and Kathy Kirtland Silverman, authors. I've got you as one feminine goddess, authors of Manopause. Now, we were talking about technology before and how that can really inhibit a relationship. Would you continue, please?
Well, another thing that happens is that, as we've said, at this time of life, a man can begin feeling less powerful and more vulnerable. And every time he gets one of those little pings that someone is trying to reach out to him and someone is asking his opinion, someone is giving him information, it helps him begin to feel important again. So he begins to get a little bit too obsessed with that because he gets in some ways more reassurance than he may get from his own mate or his family in some ways.
And we suggest that having time out, so to speak, in a relationship from technology so as to reconnect and have more intimacy in times that you wouldn't have. You'd have an interruption from the technology. And our relationships all need those kinds of special times that are uninterrupted.
Yeah, you have to disconnect to reconnect.
Right.
And I think that for everyone, I mean, I won't go to lunch with a girlfriend if she's going to text and get her phone calls. I say, shut your cell phone. I don't want to hear it. This is my time to be technologically free. And I think that sometimes men who, with waning testosterone and midlife crisis, are on Facebook, and maybe they're getting emails from old girlfriends, and then they enjoy that little chat and so forth. So it can be dangerous, right?
Yes. This is time when fears, we talk about this a lot in the book, well, when fears creep in. You talking about women, yes, they have there's a fear of mortality, but men go through this time really challenged by their fears of mortality, and then, of course, the fear of being less of a man, which means not as respected, wanting to have lots of control, and we see these feelings bubbling out in their unexpected and unwelcome behaviors, which is probably where the grumpy, irritable experiences your audience may be seeing in their man, like kind of a strange kind of behavior coming out of their man that is new to them, and it's because of what these men are feeling, and they're not really communicating. And one of our many goals in the book is to help your man communicate to you what he's feeling. You may find it's a bit challenging for him. You may find that his vocabulary, his emotional vocabulary, is not as lengthy as yours. And we spend a lot of time about helping your man have an emotional awakening.
I think it's important for women to recognize when they're stressed or they're upset what's going on too. Sometimes when we're churning, we don't step back and say, wait a minute, what's going on? Maybe it's this or this trigger or that trigger. I think that's good advice for both sexes, not just guys. And I think it's also the acceptance of this kind of change in our lives. I mean, men want to be at the top of the hierarchy. That's their status. Women tend to befriend. So we're used to turning to our girlfriends. I think men fear our girlfriends, don't they? Because we tell them so much.
And that's a no-no. You don't share so much of your intimate relationship, what's going on with your man, necessarily with your girlfriends. That's something the two of you should work on, you and your man. First of all, you must understand that innately women have communicative and verbal brains, and innately men have more structural, linear brains. So it's harder for them to communicate quite at the level women do. That's fact. Our foreword is written by Luann Brizendine, who is the
well,
expert.
With that fact, we've got to end our time together. But it's a great fact. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and some of us are from both planets. Now, do you have a website that you can quickly mention before we close?
Yes, it's called TheMenopauseMan.com.
Thank you so much. And every woman better read this book, and men too. Be well. And now for affirmation of the week. Consider what slows you down might be preventing things from happening too fast before it's time. And now for the latest medical trends. Patients with access to notes written by their doctors feel more in control of their care and report a better understanding of their medical issues, improved recall of their care plan, and being more likely to take their medications as prescribed, because compliance is everything, according to the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center study. From the Institute on Health Economics at Cornell University, 2 new studies find a growing number of military-aged Americans are too obese to join the military. I'm not surprised. Texting while driving is a serious threat to public safety, but a new University of Michigan study suggests that we might not be aware of our actions, specifically how much we're texting while it's going on. When compared to their normal weight siblings, overweight and obese children ate 34% more calories from snack foods, especially after eating a filling meal, reports a University of Pennsylvania School of Nursing researcher. That can be enough calories if sustained over time to continue this excess weight gain. Whether the cause is genetic or environmental, these children cannot adjust their caloric intake. Vanderbilt University researchers are reporting today that there is insufficient evidence to support the use of medical interventions in adolescents and young adults with autism. Despite studies that show many adolescents and young adults with autism spectrum disorders are being prescribed medication, there is almost no evidence to show whether these medications are helpful in this population. Wow, that's something to reconsider. And the most comprehensive analysis yet of breast cancer shows that one of the most deadly subtypes is genetically more similar to ovarian tumors than to other breast cancers. This will lead to better treatments, and it might even in that case overlap ovarian cancer treatment with breast cancer treatment. So all tumors are not identical. And guess what's up in surgeries? Knee replacements. Baby boomers are making it boom for their surgeons. Well, we come to the close of another show. I have an educational website, turnonyourinnerlight.com, totally free. All the guest experts, all the interviews are archived on turnonyourinnerlight.com. Just click on the link and it takes you right into YouTube to hear the latest. And tell your friends. Subscribe to my free newsletter, turnonyourinnerlight.com, and you will receive a fresh new article on stress management, the latest radio shows, their links emailed directly to you, taking you into YouTube, and all the health tips I didn't even get a chance to